lot of people have these bottles, and so we'll just sacrifice one of them. Did you cut the bottom out of the bottle?
Making a charcoal water filter.
And take the lid off. By the way, you know what you can do with these lids? Not with the microphone, that's right.
You can do it with acorn shells too.
That's how I learned how to do it with acorn shells, but then I realized, well, this has the same qualities. It's worth knowing how to do that. But I'm not sure now's the right time to teach everybody, so come up with a lid, come talk to me sometime, I'll show you how. All right. For the charcoal filter, we need some sand and some charcoal. And something to screen the bottom of the filter with. Lamont, you're right close by. I'm just going to get you to scoot up a little bit here so that you can put at least one hand over the top of the tray. Yeah, there we go. Got it? Okay. For the sake of quick and easy, I'm using some window screen that I've cut up. I think in the wilderness, you could just use a wad of clean, dry grass and just stick it in the bottom. You need something to hold the sand just to keep it from running through it. This is actually marginal too because this sand will go through you, and that's why I'm doing it over the top. And getting that to stay in the right place is a little bit hard. So do what you can, make that happen.
Could you tie it over
the outside?
Yeah, you could tie it over the lid. Now, let's see if we can make that work. Don't shake it. I mean, okay. So you need a layer of sand down here. What? Yeah. Right. Yeah. So this size doesn't match the screen I got. Good. That's just the way it is. Okay. Then we need some charcoal. Now, this is charcoal out of our wood stove. I would want to grind this up so it's finer. So I'm just going to pick out some of the finer pieces here rather than taking the time to grind it up just because of the time that that's going to take and the mess that that's going to create. So, and some people put lots of sand and a relatively small layer of charcoal. I think the charcoal, because the sand also grabs bad bugs and chemicals and stuff, like the charcoal does, because sand is silicon dioxide and silicon is similar to carbon in its chemical properties. So, but I like putting a larger section of charcoal because I think that's more the business end. So in reality, I would want to fill this up more. I'm just not going to use more just because this is just a demonstration thing, right? So about this much sand proportionately, you know, mostly charcoal, and then I'm going to put another layer of sand on the top because the charcoal likes to float, so you need something to hold the sand down.
The charcoal down.
Yeah. So again, you know, in reality, we would fill that with a much taller column of charcoal, and so that it would be up to the top. But we would still have a place in the top of the filter where we could pour water in without it running over the top.
What would you use if you didn't have sand? If you were in the mountains, there was no sand.
I would get sand out of the creek. Okay. If I had a question about the sand itself, I could boil the sand. You know, put the sand in a pot and boil it. Okay. And get rid of any biologicals that way. And then what you're going to do here is, let me see. Yeah, I guess I'll just use this. You're going to run a bit of water through here before you're actually going to start collecting it. And so that would rinse the sand off if you're getting, you know, sand and had boiled it and whatever, and you wanted to rinse it off. The first bit is going to be relatively black, you know, from the dust of the charcoal that's getting washed through. But then after you've rinsed it a little bit, actually there's nothing wrong with that water, but it just looks not so good.
So you can use any kind of charcoal?
Pretty much. So, anybody want to come and get a little bit in their hand and drink it? Okay, Cody, that's somebody. Just put your hand underneath there. Okay, so you can see how clear it is, you know, relatively clear already. Okay, just go ahead and drink it because it's going. Anybody else? Going once, going twice? Yeah, here we go. Tastes okay? No? Oh, you want some more? Anybody else?
So which would be safer? Drinking water from a charcoal filter or boiling? Like if you're just getting out of a river or something, you didn't know.
The safest would be doing both probably. I mean, the charcoal, like we talked about, is going to pull out. Remember, this charcoal would have been crushed up too.
Yes.
You know, because then that gives more surface area and it's going to work better. Rather than having voids that the water could flow through and you may not even touch the charcoal. So we need the water to come in contact with the charcoal, so it's got to be crushed up. This is going to pull out chemicals and a certain amount of the biologicals. I think if you have a large enough filter, it will take out the biologicals too. But I would just want to make sure I had a larger enough one. That's what I'm saying. This is just a demonstration one. For reals, I would want at least like a 2-liter bottle, you know, to a gallon size. Brenda. Yeah, I'll give you some water.
When you're filtering your water like that, is it, I mean, especially getting the charcoal, that's my question is, I mean, you have ashes, and is the charcoal in your fire the part that is the bigger pieces that you're going to crush up?
Okay.
Okay.
See this one?
Okay.
The gray, whitish, dusty stuff, that's ash.
Okay.
That's what's left over after the charcoal burns. Okay, the charcoal is what you want, not the ash. Ash you can use for soap and for deodorant, but it doesn't work so good for this kind of stuff. Yes, there is the ash chemicals in the charcoal, but they don't mess with stuff. There's not enough of them there to worry about. One thing you do need to concern yourself with is when you're making the charcoal, like if you're pulling this out of the fire, burn it down to a bed of coals where there's no more flames coming off, and then gather your charcoal. And actually the best way is if you had like if I was just using the equipment that I have here, I would find a flat rock that I could put on top of this and fill this up, you know, get a couple of sticks, use them like either chopsticks or couple of sticks I can make the tongs out of, and pick the pieces of charcoal, stick them in there, and then put the lid on it. You know, the best charcoal is made like we did the charcoal cloth yesterday, burnt in the absence of air. What you're burning in the fire, it obviously has air. And so if I can, you know, shut it down in the absence of air, I think I'm increasing the efficiency a little bit. What I've heard is like this, out of the campfire, is 85% as effective as the medicinal activated charcoal, which is pretty close, right? It's not, you know, as much, but it still is going to do the job. If anything, just use a little bit more. Okay, anybody else want to play with this before it's gone?